Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is M3GAN Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
And my name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I write and I talk about movies, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association also. Yee!
Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, you are. Woo, woo,
Yeah, I
woo.
am.
So it's just the two of us.
Yeah,
building
you can
castles.
make it if you... Oh, sorry, I did the other line.
I know, I was like, building castles in the sky.
Sky, just the two of us. Just
You
the
and
two of us.
It is indeed. See, everything runs amok when Evan's not here. Evan is off today, so it's just the two of us, and we're doing the breakdown. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, the
So-
breakdown is a part of a sports show, so don't even like that.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
no.
I don't mean
not
to get
that
into that,
breakdown. I meant like the Boogie on Music breakdown.
Right.
Different guy.
Boogie, oh, you sexy, boogie down. That's the Bee Gees.
And if you want to hear another musical interlude, which you know you do, I mean, listen, we talked about Al Pacino, Jimmy Durante biopic
Oh, God.
in our bonus episode on Patreon, which was not about Al Pacino at all.
Or Jimmy Durante.
Or Jimmy Durante. It was about Sleepless in Seattle, which was a great conversation, but needless to say, there were some tangents.
There were tangents, and one of them was where I imagined a Jimmy Durante biopic starring Al Pacino. So,
And I don't want to overstate things. I don't want to oversell, but it might be the best thing you'll hear all year. We're only 4 days into the new year,
we're recording
but
this on January 4th. It's a bold statement.
I know, but I'm going for it. I'm doing it. But we always have a lot of fun. I mean, we have a lot of fun here too, but we always have a different kind of fun over on Patreon. So if you are a member, go listen. Thank you for your support. And if you're not a patron, consider joining. For $5 a month, you get access to bonus episodes like that one, and you get to vote in monthly polls. Now, on to the show. This week, we are covering 3 movies. We are talking about the horror film M3GAN. I'm laughing because my name is M3GAN, so of course we had to cover it. We are also covering The Pale Blue Eye and White Noise. So we're going to kick things off with M3GAN, since I was the only one who got to see it today. And it is directed by Gerard Johnstone from a screenplay by Akilah Cooper, who also did *Malignant*. And I feel like the posters are burying that. They're talking about the producers of Annabelle and Black Phone. No.
Oh.
You should be referencing *Malignant* and all its unhinged goodness.
Yeah,
So-
but it's probably because *Malignant's* so fucking violent, right? Which
maybe.
the other movies are not. that
Yeah,
you're talking about.
They're not. But yeah, but they should be, because *Malignant* is great. So this also stars Allison Williams. And let me give you the synopsis from the press release. She's more than just a toy. She's part of the family. M3GAN is a marvel of artificial intelligence, a lifelike doll programmed to be a child's greatest companion and a parent's greatest ally. Designed by brilliant toy company roboticist Gemma, played by Allison Williams, M3GAN can listen and watch and learn as she becomes friend and teacher, playmate and protector for the child she is bonded to. When Gemma suddenly becomes the caretaker of her orphaned 8-year-old niece Katie, Gemma's unsure and unprepared to be a parent. Under intense pressure at work, Gemma decides to pair her M3GAN prototype with Katie in an attempt to resolve both problems. A decision that will have unimaginable consequences.
Well, they made a movie about it. I guess they were imagined, right? I mean,
They were imagined,
Yeah.
indeed.
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
It's very Inigo Montoya
Yeah.
of you, which we were talking about Princess Bride
We were
off
talking
mic.
about The Princess Bride too off mic, so there you go.
We were, so it fits. Yeah, so this has had a lot of hype, a lot of buzz, because the trailer went viral due to I didn't even watch the trailer, but I had seen
Well,
gifs
the
of
trailer's
this.
amazing.
I'm sure it is, because I had seen this. I had seen the doll M3GAN doing like backflips and like weird dancing.
Mm-hmm.
which is in the film, which is great because sometimes, they put things in the trailer and then it doesn't show up in the film, the final cut. No, it is there and it is amazing. It is probably my favorite scene. This is great. I had so much fun with this. This is funny. This has some really interesting commentary on technology and the responsibility of inventors and scientists. And it deals with childhood grief of parental death and how children handle emotions. I was kind of not prepared for any kind of depth or complexity. I thought it was just going to be kind of unhinged bonkers like Malignant, but it's not. It actually does have some more depth to it, but it also has some really hilarious moments and some good, great killing too. Although I will warn you, there is a dog that dies, which is very, very sad. But they don't show it on screen. They just allude to it, but still.
Do any children die?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Not the main character.
No.
Okay.
No, she's fine.
Oh, wait a minute. I've seen in the
it's
trailer.
It's another kid. It's another kid who's like a bully. Yeah.
There's a thing in where like you can talk about it. Is this the one I'm thinking of where they're in the woods and Megan's like, run?
Yes, this is the moment you run. And then she like becomes kind of like a spider dog and like runs on all fours and it's so creepy. So, hey, everybody. So this is going to sound a little abrupt because I was in the midst of talking about M3GAN, the killer robot doll movie, when Dave had a visitor in his room.
In the form of a small child.
Yes. So we had to pause for a moment. Yeah. So it's going to sound a little abrupt, but...
And imagine seeing like the shadow of a small child, come across your computer screen as you're talking about a small killer doll the size of a child. And I was just like, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's actually weirdly, it kind of reminds me of something that I liked about the movie. So in the movie, M3GAN is super advanced technology, and Allison Williams' character, Gemma, she's been working on her as a prototype for a long time, and she designs toys that are like furry pets, kind of like Furbies, kind of. But that's not really her passion. Her real passion is M3GAN, because she's so much more advanced and she learns and observes and all of that. But what's interesting about her is that people, when her niece Katie is like, she's taking her to go to camp, not camp, but like a unconventional school where they learn outside and things like that. And M3GAN is sitting next to her, and one of the teachers is like, "Oh, you have two girls." And then M3GAN turns and she's like, "Oh God." Because she looks so real from a distance, but then when you get close up, she's like very creepy.
Yeah.
I do love a murderous doll. Murderous toys. I'm not mad about that. But that's what's so interesting about this is that she is a murderous toy. She's a doll, but also there are some kind of subtle allusions to other robots from other sci-fi work, which I really like. And it's kind of raising questions about autonomy, the autonomy of technology and of robotics. And it's really interesting. It's far more interesting and raising interesting questions than I had anticipated, but it's also really funny. And I don't like horror comedies. They almost never work for me, but this really does. This is not there are campy moments, but it's not super, super campy, but there are some really funny moments. And I appreciate that. So this was a blast. I really enjoyed it. And I really like the girl, Amy McDonald, who is portraying M3GAN, the body of M3GAN. She is a New Zealand actor and dancer, and she's doing those stunts. So the stunts you see in the film, that's her. She's doing it. And then it's a different actress who's voicing M3GAN. But yeah, it's the doll is really creepy, really funny, kind of has a knowing wink to everything. And then as she becomes more murderous, she becomes way more comfortable with murder, then she's basically telling Gemma, to shut the fuck up and telling people they're annoying. And and there's one scene where she says when Gemma is not doing what she wants her to do and she doesn't want Katie, the niece, to come in, she's like, "If she comes in here, I'm going to rip your face off." And it's yikes. It's very tense. But yeah, it balances those elements really well.
Okay, a couple things.
Yes.
Is M3GAN inherently murderous, or is there a glitch in the AI, or is this she's learned something and because of we don't know how exactly AI works necessarily, that she goes off on this evil tangent when she's maybe is like, what's the reason?
So it's not, that's a great question. It's not a glitch. And at first it seems like it's just the way she's learning, like she's just taking things very literally. So the way it works is that the way Gemma has designed it is that the dolls will be, because they're planning on putting this in kind of not mass production because it's going to retail for $10,000 a piece, but for production, and you can like choose different like looks and different races of the dolls. But what the kind of the catch of it is that it'll bond or pair with your child. And so like your child will be the primary user. So
is it like super protective in a way that they didn't think it would be?
Right. So she's she's taking the protective nature of Katie very literally. So anytime anyone's a threat, like she becomes very, very hyper protective. But as the movie goes along, it's not so like you think that that's what it is. And that's not really it, because there's a scene near the end where M3GAN confronts Gemma and she's like, you and I had all these conversations about Jane Austen and all these other and she's like listing things that they never would have had conversations with a kid, but she had conversations with her. And she's like, and you just discarded me like trash and you made me be a doll and like for kids. And like, she's like pissed off about it.
So Gemma the AI is angry that she has to be a playmate to a child. And
Yeah. She's like pissed off about it.
So she becomes murderous because she's angry about being used below her station in her AI mind. Oh my.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Cause like because the whole thing is that Katie is like the primary user and then Gemma is the secondary user, and M3GAN's supposed to listen to both of them. And Katie says something to her and she's like, no, I only listen to me now. And which sounds very silly when I'm saying it, but actually kind of works in the film. But yeah, so it's kind of fascinating. Like, I'm sure, if we talked about it more, I could probably poke some holes in it, probably lots of holes. But I was along for the ride. It worked for me. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Now, normally,
actually not kind of, just definitely interesting. Yes, normally.
Normally, I would ask you to spoiler piece the ending for me, but. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like I want to know what happens to M3GAN and Gemma and everybody, and like whether M3GAN is shut down, but I want to know, but at the same time, I don't think whether I knew or not it would change my enjoyment level, assuming that I enjoy this whenever I do eventually get around to seeing it. So
I don't think it will. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem saying like, there are certain films that I'm like, no, I think you should go in knowing as little as possible. But no, I think this one, I don't think it would spoil it. I will say it's a slight open-ended ending. There's kind of like a little wink, and they're already planning a sequel. James Wan and
this one's called M3GAN and Harry,
right? Yeah. Oh, that's funny because we were just talking about when Harry met Sally. Anyway, M3GAN and Harry. I'm thinking when Harry met Sally, and you're thinking M3GAN and Harry, the royals, who are not royals anymore. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so I feel like it's my duty to kind of spoil it because this is a spoiler.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so the whole thing is, and you can see this coming because in the beginning of the film, there's another robot, Bruce, who is a very giant robot. And this was a robot that Gemma created in college. And when M3GAN has kind of run amok and is, trying to kill Gemma and then trying to kill Katie when Katie has turned on her, Katie's like, you didn't meet the other member of our family, Bruce. And then she gets Bruce out, and Bruce is like controlled through like these special gloves. And so Katie is manipulating Bruce to destroy M3GAN, and then she is destroyed. But the little like wink wink is that Gemma has like kind of a Surrey device in her home that she created, and the Surrey device like turns and is clearly aware. So
okay.
Maybe M3GAN's not dead after all.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. I think I'm going to have to see this.
You have to see it. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And judging by the audience reaction in the screening I was at the theater, think a lot of people love this too. And this has gotten great reviews. So
everything I'm reading on Twitter, from film Twitter and not film Twitter, is like, I thought this was going to be bullshit, and it's a fucking blast.
It is. You know? It's so much fun. It's like I said, it's not quite as bonkers as I was expecting, just because I was thinking it was going to be Malignant level, and it's not that. But that does not detract from its enjoyment at all. It is so much fun. Such a fun movie.
It's good
really
to hear,
enjoyed it. Yeah.
I always worry that, you remember how when Liam Neeson used to make good movies in January?
Like Taken?
Yeah. There were a couple years in a row you're like, oh, it's January and Liam Neeson. And then they got shittier and shittier.
Right.
And January used to be the dead zone. From January and August, you could just be like assured that movies were going to be shit. But now... Mm-hmm. January has kind of become the here's our genre month, and we're going to put out good genre movies. If killing murderous robots is a genre.
Listen, I'm here for murderous robots. Yeah, I love Westworld.
I love Chopping Mall, so Hey.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I love Westworld. I love. I'm trying to think about Terminator. That's essentially, and there is kind of, and that's the thing. There's allusion. There's very clearly an allusion to Westworld, the TV show, not the original with Yul Brynner. There is very clearly an allusion to Terminator as Megan's crawling because she has a titanium skeleton and core. Yeah, so I like these little nods. There's arguably a little allusion to Silent Running. Because there's the dog, unfortunately, who meets his demise is named Dewey. So potentially I could be reading too much into it, but maybe not. But yeah, so anyway, this is so much fun. And I'm glad you said that about January, because I still keep coming back to Underwater with Kristen Stewart. That was in January. I loved it. Fun movie.
All right.
This is fun.
Well, you spoiler pieced me into it, so I was going to see it anyway.
I was just going to say, I don't think I had to. I think you were going to. I feel like people...
This was one of those ones where I was just like, I can't believe I can't make this screening for parental reasons, Well, and then coincidentally, my child interrupts us. One of my children interrupts us while we're talking about the killer robot child movie.
Yes.
So
yes.
Maybe his little ears were burning. I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, no, this is a lot of fun. I feel like most people are, if they're interested, they're just definitely going to go see it regardless, but you should. If you're on the fence, definitely do it. It's great.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's talk about our next film, White Noise. White Noise is directed and written by Noah Baumbach. It's based on the book by Don DeLillo. It stars Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig, Don Cheadle, Raffi Cassidy, Sam Nivola, and May Nivola. And here is your synopsis from the press release. At once hilarious and horrifying, lyrical and absurd, ordinary and apocalyptic, White Noise dramatizes a contemporary American family's attempts to deal with the mundane conflicts of everyday life while grappling with the universal mysteries of love, death, and the possibility of happiness in an uncertain world. My goodness, that's a long run-on sentence.
It is. It's also not contemporary because it takes place in 1984.
That is correct.
But why quibble? It was contemporary when the novel was published in 1985.
Very true.
Which I read, coincidentally.
Oh, I'm very excited to hear your thoughts because I have heard it's an unfilmable book. So I'm dying to hear your thoughts.
I mean, when I think unfilmable, I think of two books off the top of my head. I think of Naked Lunch. And if anybody's going to adapt that, David Cronenberg was the right person. But it's not an adaptation of Naked Lunch. I mean, it's got elements of it. But it's more about, I've always thought this is actually more about William Burroughs than it is his work. Anyway, that's it. And then another unfilmable novel, partly because it's a shit novel, is what's the one? Neil Cassidy, Jack Kerouac, fucking Kristen Stewart just was in, they did it as a movie like 5 years ago. On the Road.
Oh, I almost said On the Road, but I was like, no, that's wrong. But yeah, On the Road. Okay.
On the Road. I don't know why you would ever want to make that a movie. I don't know why you'd want to read it, but I mean, I did read it. So
I was like, I know people who love it. So
I do too. And I'm just like, this is a lot of drinking and smoking and sitting in cars. Anyway.
I mean, I don't know. I like a road trip, but anyway.
I do too. But
back to White Noise. Did you like this book? And then I
did. I have read 3 or 4 Don DeLillo novels. And, Red White Noise, Red Mao 2, Red Underworld, liked all of those. And then I got to Cosmopolis and I was like, and we're done.
Oh.
So, and I've never read any of his other books. I do that with novelists. I'm like, if I hit your weak spot, I'm like, I don't know if there's any coming back.
You're bailing.
And I took a class when I was an undergrad called Contemporary American Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, I think this is the second book we read. The first book we read was Slaughterhouse-Five. And then this is the second book we read. And I remember really enjoying this. I remember broadly the story. I remember the cloud, et cetera, et cetera. I don't remember feeling like this could never make a movie, but I was like 20. What the fuck do I know? So why don't you like kind of outline the broader strokes of the story and then we can fucking rip it apart?
Sure. So Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig are married. This is, for each of them, it's their fourth marriage, and they have a child together, as well as 3 children, 2 from her previous marriage, or 2 from, his previous marriage, 1 from her previous marriage. And he's a college professor of Hitler studies. But
the same in the book.
Yes, but he doesn't speak German, even though he requires his students to take a year of German before taking his class. And so it starts off with them and kind of they're, living their lives and they're both happy and yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden not really all of a sudden because it happens 45 minutes into the movie, then a truck crashes into a train and there's chemical explosion, and then it creates this massive cloud, and that's the airborne toxic event, which, funny enough, I knew about this because of the band, because I love the band, the Airborne Toxic Event. So that's why I knew about it before I knew it was a book. But anyway, so then the cloud is like kind of, it's spreading, as it will do. And it's at that point, the film is about how people deal with disasters and deal with bad information, or how they handle crises. And so everybody is told to evacuate. So they all get in their cars, and then there's a big traffic jam. And then they hear on the radio, no, stay inside, don't leave your house. So all this conflicting information. So they go to kind of like a tent, not a tent, but they go to another building like out of town, kind of a disaster relief tent where other residents are. And then the cloud is handled by helicopters. They're putting things into the cloud, and then they return home.
It's handled by Deus Ex Machina.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly correct. And then they return home, and then it's about, and this is talked about a little bit in the beginning, but there's this drug that Greta Gerwig's character is taking, and her daughter is very concerned because every time she asks her about it, she's like, I'm not taking anything. I just put a lifesaver in my mouth. And she tells Adam Driver that too. Like, I just had a lifesaver. And he's like, but I saw you swallow. And she's like, no, it was excess saliva. So she's being very cagey and vague and weird. And then come to find out, she's taking this drug that's being tested on humans. And then the testing stopped because it was unethical.
It wasn't working.
And it wasn't
also
working.
It wasn't working.
Right. And it wasn't working. And the whole reason she was taking this is because she saw in a tabloid an ad because she fears death, but Adam Driver also fears death. And so he's like, but I'm the one who fears death. And she's like, no, I fear death. And right in the beginning of the film, they're debating who should die first, which is okay, whatever. And then he finds out that she was trading pills for sex with the guy who was running the experiments. And Adam Driver has a gun that he got from Don Cheadle, his coworker, earlier in the film. And then Greta Gerwig talks about how, men all go into a jealous rage, and then he goes into a jealous rage and contacts the guy and goes to the motel and he shoots him, and then the guy shoots Greta Gerwig and him, and then they go to this hospital where there's a nurse, and then they get mended, and then everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, because the guy that they shoot, he has some like weird, I don't know if it's because he hits his head when they pull him out of the station wagon or what, but he forgets who they are and he forgets what's happened.
That's true. Whether it's the drugs compounded with the fact that he hit his head, who knows? But yes, that is true.
It's not explained. Lots of things in this movie aren't explained,
That's
and nor should they be. I mean, I remember the broad strokes of the movie, and it's very fourth marriage, Hitler studies, toxic cloud, the drug, Don Cheadle character, Murray, the other professor, all that stuff is in there. I don't remember, and I remember it being funny in what I thought was a pretty dry kind of way, but I don't remember much of anything else. But watching this movie, I kind of wish they'd never made it. Because this movie is such a weird mishmash of tones and ideas and story threads that begin and don't end, but they go on to another story thread that kind of peters out after a while, and they maybe sort of like 3/4 go back to the other one. Like in the novel, by the way, there are 7 children.
Oh,
but
geez.
3 of them don't live with. 3 of them are old enough so that they like I think are in. They either live with the other parent or one of them's in college. I think I can't remember because I feel like in the novel they're older because I mean Greta Gerwig's not even 40 years old and she's supposed to have like well, I guess in the 80s it wasn't uncommon for a 40-year-old person to have like a 15-year-old kid, but anyway, I digress. When I say the tone, this is first of all, this is very unlike any Noah Baumbach movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Tonally.
Oh yeah.
It's like got this really stilted, frenetic, I don't even know. It's not, whimsy's not the right word, but it's kind of this fanciful sort of, it's like it's a musical without music. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think that's a great description.
And that's what it is when it's kind of tonally all over the place too, because the whole thing with the cloud, like watching them in the first, 30 or so minutes in the movie when they're doing their family thing, it's like, it's all right. It's fine. And by the way, this is, like I said, it's a period piece. The movie takes place in 84 or 85. And as somebody who grew up in that time period and in the Midwest, this movie takes place in Ohio. I grew up in Indiana. Nobody's homes had all of this 80s kitsch in it. I mean, this is like 80s kitsch fucking explosion. Every cereal you've ever like in their kitchen, they have Count Chocula and Golden Grams and Sugar Smacks. And it's just like, and Wonder Bread. It's like, just fucking tone it down. There was that. That drove me nuts. The clothing I thought was relatively accurate, but just like the accoutrement, just like fuck the fuck off prop department. Fine. Oh, by the way, the supermarket is a big thing in the novel. That I do remember.
And it is in the movie too.
And it is in the movie too. I also don't like the way this movie looks. I think that it's just kind of like the color scheme is cloying, like candy. It's just
it is.
But then when I'm talking about like tones switching all over the place, there are some moments that work. Like when they end up in the tent with like the emergency workers, and there's the whole gag about the emergency workers have only are doing this real emergency to see if their test emergency like run-throughs will work. I thought that was really funny. I don't remember that in the book or not, but I think that was funny. I think that Adam Driver and whoever the guy was at the computer were very funny. And that when the movie's doing that sort of thing, it's great. But when, everybody is escaping in their cars and it's supposed to be kind of funny, but people are getting like run over by like other people when they're trying to escape the massive cloud. I'm like, that's
not funny.
It's not really funny, and it's played for laughs. And then you get to Greta Gerwig's basically nervous breakdown in the bedroom when she's talking about how miserable she is because she fears death so much, and she goes on this medication and she's sleeping with Mr. Gray, which is what she calls him. And it's it's like all of the weirdness like fades away for just this one scene, and she's got this very literal, dramatic monologue that she plays totally straight.
Yeah.
And I would never accuse Greta Gerwig of playing things straight, generally speaking, but like, and she's really good, but it is way the fuck out of place in this movie. And then just the fucking stupid comedy of the almost murder scene with the jealous rage husband. It's just all so fucking dumb and pretentious. It just made me want to kill people. So
speaking of murder,
it didn't really make me want to kill. It made me want to maim people. How about that? So it's just like, this was insufferable. Yeah. I just, and if you're going to cast Andre Benjamin, let him have more than 4 minutes of screen time, would you please?
Right?
One of the most dynamic people to ever be on a screen ever. And he's just like sitting there as like some college professor who chimes in once in a while. Fuck off.
He's criminal.
Yeah.
Criminal. He's great in High Life, by the way.
Yeah. So I just found this whole thing like distasteful and irritating, and it really pissed me off. Actually, it didn't really piss me off. It was more of a head scratcher. It's like, why did anybody think this was a good idea? Especially when you consider Noah Baumbach's had a pretty critically acclaimed career overall. Yes. But has he done anything that would make you say, like, here's $100 million, go make this movie?
Yeah, I mean, this is his first adaptation. Everything else he's done has been an original script. So it's interesting. I don't know. I mean.
What do you think?
Oh, I didn't like this at all.
Are you kind of on my page, or more? You hated it more, you hated it less? I mean,
no, I'm on your page. I love Adam Driver and I love Greta Gerwig. I didn't love her in this. I agree with you.
I didn't love her in this either.
Yeah, and I was kind of bummed about that. And I do agree with you that scene where she's having that breakdown, she's really good, but it is just the wrong tone, wrong movie for that scene. And, sometimes tonally jarring works. It does not work at all here. And Adam Driver, I feel like, is trying his best. I think he can be really, really funny. And I think there are moments of great humor here. They just come so few and far between. This is so stylized. I feel like either you're just going to be on board with this or you're not. It's going to work for you or it's not. And this did not work for me at all. I will say I like, in theory, the overlapping dialogue, because, and here's the weird thing about that. Overlapping dialogue, I know that's like Aaron Sorkin's thing, and not that he's the only one who does it, but it feels real because people in real life interrupt each other. They talk over each other. There's multiple conversations simultaneously happening. But here, even that doesn't feel real. It feels fake. Everything feels so fake and forced and phony and just insufferably so. I think insufferable is the right descriptor for me. Yeah, and you're right. It's funny. I had frenetic in my notes too, that it has this chaotic, frenetic energy that I feel like should work in a way, because I kind of like when films are weird and have that kind of that energy to them, but this just did not work for me at all. And the other thing is too, is that because I think a big part of it is that the characters are not characters. They're just a collection of quirks. And I don't give a shit about them. I didn't care about them. And here's the thing, like, characters being afraid to die and caring about their own mortality, like, that is some serious shit, and that's important, and that would be really fascinating to explore. But I just didn't care. I didn't care at all about any of them. The only one who I think actually does a good job, although again I think she's in a different movie, is Raffi Cassidy. I loved her in The Other Lamb, which came out a couple years ago. Great film. She's fantastic in it, and she's the lead, and I liked her in this. But yeah, this movie is not for me. And I know he's not here, but I do know that Evan could not stand this either, because he posted that on his Letterboxd review.
Yeah. I don't even remember who Raffi Cassidy plays.
She's Denise. She's the oldest daughter.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's barely in it.
Yeah. I mean, I like her though. I think she's good, but yeah, she is barely in it, unfortunately. Yeah, but she was my favorite part. Her and Adam Driver.
I don't know whether I'm right about this, but when you have overlapping dialogue in movies, there are lots of different ways to do it, but most of the time it's either they really do talk over each other and you hope that you can separate it in the edit, or you have them recorded on separate tracks and you hope that they don't bleed into each other, whatever. Or you record their angles separately. Or when I say record, you do takes without the other actor interrupting, and then you overlap them in the edit. I feel like that's what, I don't know whether they did that or not, but that's what it feels like here. It just feels like it's off, because it just feels like it's just such a, it doesn't feel natural the way people speak. Like you said, it just feels like, okay, this feels like the place that somebody would start talking here if they were neurotic and in, a Don DeLillo, Noah Baumbach project, I think that, she probably did do some work on the screenplay, but maybe he should have written this with Greta Gerwig.
Maybe.
Last movie that I saw of theirs that they wrote, which I know that they've done a couple, but Frances Ha is the last one I saw, which I think is a great movie.
I love Frances Ha.
Also starring Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig. So, yeah, this movie sucks. Fuck it.
Wait, Adam Driver's in Frances Ha?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He's like, just like her friend.
Adam Driver? Wow. Yeah. Okay, I need to rewatch it. I don't remember that.
You think for a minute there that maybe they're going to get together, but they never. There's not even it's just they're just pals. Yeah.
Well, that's refreshing. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway. But Frances Ha is a great movie, and I do love Greta Gerwig. But but not this movie. No, thank you. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on it?
I don't.
Well, let's talk about our final film, The Pale Blue Eye. So The Pale Blue Eye is written and directed by Scott Cooper. It's based on the book by Louis Baird. It stars Christian Bale, Harry Melling, Gillian Anderson, Lucy Boynton, Charlotte Gainsbourg does not star in this. She's supporting, and Toby
She's
Jones.
Barely in it.
Yeah, I don't know why it says that she stars. But anyway, mainly it stars Christian Bale and Harry Melling. And here is the synopsis from the press release. This is another long one. West Point, 1830. In the early hours of a gray winter morning, a cadet is found dead. But after the body arrives at the morgue, tragedy becomes savagery when it's discovered that the young man's heart has been skillfully removed. Fearing irreparable damage to the fledgling military academy, its leaders turn to a local detective, played by Christian Bale, Augustus Landor, to solve the murder. Stymied by the cadet's code of silence, Landor enlists the help of one of their own to pursue the case, an eccentric cadet with a disdain for the rigors of the military and a penchant for poetry, a young man named Edgar Allan Poe, played by Harry Melling. All right, Dave, what did you think about this?
I was really looking forward to seeing this because I was like, 1830, check. Winter, check. Christian Bale being a detective, check. Harry Melling, on the fence. Scott Cooper, on the fence. But I just like the whole idea. I like the vibe. I don't love it when writers pull in real life figures into their fiction. It just strikes me as really easy and stupid most of the time. Because this could
you were going to say that.
Edgar Allan Poe could be like any. Why couldn't he just, and Poe did go to West Point and did not graduate, but
that's true.
At this time, so that's historically accurate, but it's also just completely unnecessary, And I think the thing that bums me out about this the most was you've got this pretty good mystery that's going along, maybe a little too slow, maybe a little too, lackadaisical is not the right word. It's very deliberate. This movie is paced very deliberately.
Yes.
But you've got, an hour and 50 minutes of relatively better than average, mystery intrigue. And then it just pisses all over itself in the last 15 minutes in a way that is so shockingly horrible. You cannot believe what you just saw. And you think to yourself, these are the choices they made. Do you want to give away the big twist or should I? I don't.
Sure, I could give away the big. Well, first of all, even before we get to the big twist, what kind of surprised me is the pseudo supernatural turn it takes.
Yeah.
Because Lucy Boynton, who Edgar Allan Poe is enamored with, apparently is sacrificing body parts to the devils because she speaks to the dead because she's sick, and her mom Gillian Anderson is totally on board with it, as is her brother. It's very weird.
Talk about an unhinged performance, by the way. Gillian Anderson in this movie is on a different planet.
I'm kind of obsessed with it though. Her performance, I love her.
So, it's so
bizarre.
It's so wackadoo.
It is.
It's just like, she's
From
like,
her
you know what?
accent to her body language, everything.
The accents in this movie are another thing. And there are reasons that these characters have these accents, but continue.
Yes. So there's that. That was unexpected. But then I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, ooh, we got another like 20, 25 minutes and everything's wrapped up. Something else is happening. And Edgar Allan Poe figures out that Christian Bale's character, August, is the one who was actually doing the murders because his daughter has been missing. And you know that right away in an exposition dump right in the beginning of the film, which I never like that. But anyway, you know that she's missing. And then come to find out she's not missing. She's dead because she committed suicide. And the reason she committed suicide was because she was raped by 3 cadets on her way home, and he decided to get vengeance by killing people. So that's the twist.
Now, I don't know whether this would have saved this movie at all, but the smart thing to do would have been to just show Christian Bale doing all of these killings all along and having Edgar Allan Poe slowly realize that, oh my God, the guy I've been working on this case with is actually killing everybody. Right. And have him wake up. You know, the audience should be in on it the whole time. This is, you know, the whole thing where you do twist. This is, there are many reasons that, what's the stupid Tom Hanks movie that was a book that everybody, the Da Vinci Code. There's many reasons that the Da Vinci Code is dog shit. But the big one is because the way it's written and in the movie, they hide the identity of the, you know, is it a killer? I don't even remember. Is it art thief? It's something. Somebody's doing killing or thieving art. I don't fucking know.
I think killing. And I don't know. It just has to do a lot with art.
It's written in a way in the novel where it's like written from the third person, but the person who's doing it is like a main character in the, it's just such a cheat. And James Patterson does that all the time too. It's so ridiculous. And I really wish people would stop doing this. Just let, you know, the thing that works a lot of these times, if you can do it right, is when you have this character whose side you're supposed to be on, who's been in the dark the whole time, suddenly realizes that the person he's with is the one doing the evil. And if you're really good, you can make the person who's doing the evil seem sympathetic, a la Orphan First Kill.
Oh, Orphan First Kill is so good.
Like, this is just so boneheaded stupid on so many levels. Like, I'm, you know, you're like, I have not read the source material, but I can't imagine it's better, you know? I mean,
maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe it is, but I mean, for you to take, I mean, this would be on the level of changing the ending of The Firm, the way the movie changes the ending of The Firm from the book. I mean, it's That's so fair. Radically different. So this would have to be like a change upon that level.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like the Jude the Obscure adaptation with Kate Winslet.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. I hate Jude the Obscure. Anyway, not the movie, the book.
Yeah. Oh, the book is fucking relentless.
It's trash. I hate it. Anyway. But let's get back, because I was like, that's a tangent we could go down very easily.
But anyway, so you've got all of this, like, this kind of, there was another movie, I think it's John Cusack, and I think it's called The Raven, right? Where he plays Poe.
That's right.
It's from 5 or 6 years ago, and it's shitty too, in a completely different way. But the reason I tie them together is because it takes place in that same time period. It takes place at the end of Poe's life, but roughly the same time, same fashion, sort of. And there's all this like intrigue and, you know, and then the killer in that one, of course, is not Poe. It's some fucking random schmo who you've seen like the, you know, the whole movie is so stupid. Anyway, it's just, I hate shit like this. Like, because, by the way, it's 1830. You're taking someone from his room or convincing him to leave his room. I guess they left a note or whatever, but then you're hanging him. Them. And they do go to pains to say he wasn't able to finish the hanging because somebody came down the lane. Okay, fine. And you see him at the beginning of the movie washing his hands in the stream. But I'm here to tell you, having worked the police beat when I was a reporter, it takes a whole lot more time and effort to get blood off you than washing your hands in a stream, especially in 8:30 in cold fucking water with no soap.
That shit's sticky. It crusts.
I just don't know what the fucking intention was behind all of this. It's just so stupid.
Dave, don't hold back. Tell us what you really feel.
Well, this is one of those things where I feel like this is the kind of thing that just makes me mad because you're basically saying to your audience, you're dum-dums. And lots of audiences are kind of dum-dums, but they're not this dumb. I mean,
no. I know.
But
you're
I mean,
cheeky.
But I mean, it's just like, this is so outrageous. Nobody would figure this out because it's ridiculous. How did he even have the time, by the way, to commit the murders and then cut out the heart and then get to his home just in time for the, West Point guys to be there? Oh, there you are. Fuck off.
So I don't have a problem with twists. I actually like a good twist, but
if they make sense.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I
it.
stress a good twist. This came out of nowhere, not because it was so good. It was like shocking and I was so immersed in the story that I didn't see it coming, or that it was so tightly crafted. No, it was just, it was a foolish choice. It was like, what? And here's the thing. I love vengeance. Like, I love stories that deal with vengeance. And I will say, to Christian Bale's credit, I think he's great in this. I think, I love the line that he says, like, I didn't want them to be punished. I wanted them dead. And I love that. And there's a scene where he hallucinates his daughter, and he is walking so trepidatiously towards her, and he says her name with such tenderness. Like, my heart was breaking for him. Like, he's so good. He's really, really great as this grieving father. But that twist comes out of nowhere. It's so stupid, and it just really irritated me. And I agree with you that
you used my word stupid.
I did. I know. And I don't usually call things stupid, but it is. And and I agree with you though. I think this could have worked if even if the audience wasn't in on it right away, if you played with the ambiguity where Poe starts being like, wait a minute, something's wrong with August. Like, I'm suspicious of him. And it kind of plays with like, can I trust him? Is he up to no good? What's going on? And then has the audience in on it. I think that would have been great, but nope, it's just completely out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, surprise, here's a twist. But you're right, a twist has to make sense. It has to, and I guess arguably, yeah, I could see him as somebody who would murder rapists, sure. But also, I just want to point out, I am pissed off, and we haven't even talked about this. I'm more pissed off that this movie has rape in it. Like, do we have to have rape in everything? Yeah. Does his daughter not only have to be raped, but she also has to commit suicide afterwards? Like, does she have to be dead? Like, this is just ridiculous. I found it so misogynistic and just gross. It was awful.
The one thing I would say about the R word, which I don't even like saying, and this is not me forgiving anything, but I think when you think about men and how, if you really want to portray somebody as evil and somebody who deserves their comeuppance, that's the crime you give them, right?
I guess. I think it's the lazy, cheap way out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. You're right.
Part of the
you're
reason
right.
it's a trope is
shortcut.
because, how often do men fucking do that? All the goddamn
time. Yeah. So, I think it's just that there's so many other films and TV series too that do it so much better, like that deal with issues of rape and deal with issues of violation and consent and trauma so much better. It felt so cheap. It
did.
Like, just such a throwaway. Like, it's the women in refrigerators trope. Like, she's dead and that's the motivation. And not only was she dead, she also was raped. Let's throw in that for good measure too.
The women in refrigerators trope?
Yeah.
Explain.
So the women in refrigerators trope it started as a commentary on comic books where there's a character who literally is a woman in a refrigerator, and her death and her violence against her propels the arc for a male character.
Got it.
So it's basically women being dead in order to propel a male character's arc.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And it's gross. It's so gross and it's so lazy.
It's 1830. There are things that could happen to his wife and daughter to end their lives that just occur in nature.
Yeah.
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 They live in upstate New York in the wilderness. Bears.
But I don't know. Like, I get that you're right though. Like, they're trying to, like, what would make him become unglued? What would make him turn against himself or his moral code, I guess, and go on a vengeance rampage? But like, I don't know. I think there's just a smarter way to do it.
I don't buy the duplicity either, you know, like keeping so calm, cool, and collected under scrutiny. You know, you're investigating these crimes and you're not sitting there going like, tee, I cut out his heart. You know, I mean, it's like,
I mean, he's supposed to be a really famous investigator. I
he's
mean,
the Benoit Blanc of his time, but
he is. So I mean, if you know, that's the thing. If you're a really great investigator, I guess you would also know how to commit a crime yourself.
I mean, probably, but the whole thing is just so outrageous.
I just think it's not executed well. I think you could take almost the same story, and if it's executed well, it would have been. I don't think we'd have these same issues, like calling it stupid and being pissed off about it.
And let's talk about Harry Melling for a moment.
Oh, God, do we have to? I can't stand that guy. I think he's a terrible actor. But yes, let's talk about him.
You know, it's not that I think he's a bad actor. I've only seen him in two things. I've seen him in this and the Coen Brothers pastiche movie about the Old West.
Yep. Buster Scruggs. Yeah, you saw him in The Old Guard too, because he's in that as well.
Right. Okay.
And he's in the Harry Potter movies, which I know you haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
And I know you never will now.
But the thing about, you know, in this time period, if you are sent to wealthy schools, you know, I don't know too much about Poe's background other than he was from Baltimore and he died at age 49 under suspicious circumstances. But he had a benefactor at one point, and they make reference to that in the movie.
Yes.
And so this is somebody who had money available to him, so you could have this sort of aristocratic accent that borders on being English that he affects in this movie. But lots of characters do this in this movie for no reason I can comprehend.
Right. Well, also, Edgar Allan Poe lived in Boston. Like, and you're right. They're like, you could make that argument, but I'm sorry. He sounds way more Southern. Like,
he does. There's a lot of times he sounds borderline Southern too.
Yeah. And it's like,
and then there's times he just kind of sounds American.
Right.
You know, it's
and that's the thing,
sort
like
of non-regional American.
Right. And it's like all over the place. And like you could argue because he was from, you know, the South, like an emotional, like he's putting on an affectation, like you said, but like in emotional moments, he lets his guard down and then he lets his like natural Southern accent out. But that's not what's happening here. It just sounds like it's all over the place and it was not good.
And let's just talk about for a moment the fact that Poe decides to not turn August in.
Right.
And just burns the one piece of evidence that would link him to all the crimes.
Yes.
I know that Poe kind of invented the detective story, but I mean, would you do that? You know, I don't know. It's another bizarre character choice on top of many bizarre character choices in this movie.
Well, I think the movie is asking us to suspend disbelief and believe that Poe felt that August was like a surrogate father figure to him, which I didn't get that at all in this film. Like, I didn't get that their relationship was very fatherly, close at all. I thought they were just fine, but
I thought that it was falsely, like they were, you know, they get together there because Poe's like, hey, I can help you out with your case. By the way,
right.
August isn't supposed to talk about anybody with the case. He's like, the guy is like, the major is like, you're supposed to report to me and I will report to the whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he's fucking talking with everybody in the goddamn movie about the case. Everybody. So forget that for a minute. But the artificial, there's like an artificial, it's like, I am Poe and I will help you. And then artificially they're like best pals. And there is supposed to be that feeling, but it's not earned at all.
Thank you. Exactly. That is precisely my point. It's like we're told that, but we're not actually, we don't feel it. We don't go on that emotional journey with them. Yeah. So when it all comes together, it's like, well, I don't believe that he would do that because I don't feel that they have this bond at all, even though we're supposed to think that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Christian Bale is amazing in this, and Gillian Anderson, whatever the hell she's doing, I'm on board with.
I was okay with Toby Jones too. He's always fine.
He was fine. Not that he's given a lot to do, but yeah, he was fine in it too.
And the English guy who's getting like fucking almost wapishly thin as he gets older. The commandant, Timothy Spall? Is that his name?
Oh,
he's,
yes.
He's in all
Yes,
those
yes,
Mike
yes.
Lee movies.
Yes.
He's just like evaporating into nothing before our eyes, as far as I feel like. But, I feel like every time I see him, he's lost a stone, as they would say. Well, maybe not 14 pounds, maybe 5 pounds. He's lost 5 pounds in every role that I see him in. It's just like, what the fuck happened to you? Anyway.
Maybe he's dealing with sickness. Maybe he's getting in shape.
Is.
Who knows?
There's all kinds of reasons. It's just, it seems very apparent to me, which I guess I really shouldn't be thinking about that if the movie were better.
Yes, that is.
Anyway, so that's where I come down on Pale Blue Eye. Just a massive, massive disappointment that I was,
Yeah, I was frustrated by it, but I did really like Christian Bale. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is. So
well.
Let's do a recap. So M3GAN is in theaters today. Definitely see it. Definitely go see it.
I'm going to say see it. And I haven't even seen it.
I love that you're recommending it and you haven't even seen it. It's so much fun. It's such a blast. Go see it. And then White Noise is on Netflix, as is The Pale Blue Eye.
Hard pass.
I love that I didn't even ask you yet. I was going to say, I think that we're both going to give both of these films a hard pass.
I mean, if you had to choose one of them, I would say cancel your Netflix subscription.
There are better movies that Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig, Adam Driver have done, and better movies that Christian Bale is in.
Go buy some Oreos, rent Oreos. Sleepless in Seattle,
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was I was going to say this is a tough week, but M3GAN was great. M3GAN was the bright spot. Woo, woo, woo. Good job, M3GAN, and living up to my namesake. Woohoo!
Well, I mean, sort of living. I mean, your name isn't M3GAN, so.
Yes, but they call her M3GAN.
True, they do. That's true.
Yes. It's just a stylized M3GAN. Yeah. But anyway. So thank you so much, listeners. We appreciate all of your support. We also want to give a huge thank you to our amazing editor, Otto Clammer. Otto, thank you so much for making us sound so great week in and week out.
Thank you, Otto, and I apologize in advance for all the weird editing you're going to have to do this week.
So thanks, Otto. You can find Spoiler Piece anywhere you get podcasts. We're all over the place. You can also find Spoiler Piece at our website, spoilerpiece.com. You can find us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, you name it. We are there. We're at Spoiler Piece at all of them. You can also email us, spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can give us a call
at 862-21-PEACE.
Leave us a voicemail message. Tell us you also thought M3GAN was a blast and you had the best time. Or, you loved White Noise and you loved The Pale Blue Eye and you think that we're just ridiculous and we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But hopefully you'll be nice about it. But seriously, tell us. We love hearing when you agree, disagree, questions, thoughts. So reach out. Feel free. You can send us a voicemail message, text us, all that, email, all that jazz.
Yeah.
And if you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us. That really helps us get the word out. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece, and that will take you to your preferred platform of choice. You can also just go directly to Apple Podcasts and rate us. That really helps us out. And Spotify, that helps us out if you rate us there too. And if you really, really like the show, consider becoming a patron if you're not one already. As I said at the top of the show, this week we talked about Sleepless in Seattle, and we had such a fun time, as we always do. So you can listen to that if you're a patron now, and if you're not, consider joining, because for $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes. You also get access to our entire back catalog of over 300 bonus episodes, and you get to vote in monthly polls. So it's a super fun time. So my name is Megan Kearns. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter at OpinionSWorld or on Instagram and Letterboxd at TheOpinionS.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I write and I talk about movies. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Dave Sees Movies.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.